So tonight is a complete disaster. My wheel So I just drove out to Hempstead. Somebody was selling these beautiful staggered set of BMW rims, and I stopped by to pick them up. I'm gonna have them set up in the car right now. I'm not sure what to do with these. Maybe I'll just drop them off at my parents' house real quick. I brought Dom along for the ride. What a deal. A little update. The whip is well on its way to its final form. We got these new rims installed. I think they're freaking awesome. Somewhere along the way on the hike, going up some elevations, it's light. We're out here like Lord of the Rings.
Okay, check this out, Don. Look at these collections. And this. Look at the forest.
We walked really far to find a lake, and that appears to be the lake. The hike ended up being a lot further than I anticipated. Must have hiked like 3 miles. When we finally got to the lake, there was back and forth on where we should set up camp.
Huh? The spot is sick. Where?
Walk right in, huh? Been hiking for hours. We've been hiking for probably an hour. Supposedly like 5 or 6 miles. But we finally found the perfect spot on the lake. Look at this. I'm standing on the rock, and there's a little shelf over there that you can just sit. It's kind of like a bathtub. And you can just go right into the lake. Just go right into the lake. Very chill. Look, you see all the fish? Yeah. Mad fish.
Just right to there. Oh, what bit me?
There are like little fishies in there, just like nibble.
That was not a little nibble. Yeah, go swim to the jump off rock over there. How far is it? It's all the way over there. You can actually see it. Look, it's right there. To the left, like you look right above where that. Well, I guess you have to look over, but like if you look right above where that shark, the big shark is.
That?
Yeah, you see that big ass rock?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's the rock.
Have you been there?
I haven't been there yet, but I guess you just follow the trail all around. Cause that trail that we're on just it's a loop.
Get this flick, John.
Oh, it's also it goes
That
all
was
the way
that
back.
was the 8 miles that I was like 8.4 miles is if you went around all this.
So tonight is a complete disaster. My wheel. This was the moment that my phone actually died. I thought to pull it out and try to record the moment, but it died. The hike was actually super fun. We had to do the same hike on the way back, and that hike was a little longer than anybody had thought it'd be. By the time we got back, it was dark, right? And so we get to the car, and I notice my front tire on the driver's side looks a little low. Dare I say flat? It wasn't completely flat. There was like a little bit of air, but then we just stayed there for a little while longer, kind of examined it. And before you knew it, it was pretty flat. I was not entirely panicked. I mean, actually, I didn't panic at all. I just looked at it, thought about it. I was like, well, there's a gas station a little over a mile away. I should be able to drive the car over there if I take it really slow. I could do it myself, but we had a full car. There were like 5 people in the car in total, so it was like pretty heavy. But then just took a chance with it, and we just drove really slow. I was driving really slow at first, 15 miles per hour, 20 miles per hour. They were encouraging me to go faster, but I didn't feel comfortable driving much faster than that. And so we actually made it to the gas station, right? And if you know at those gas stations you need quarters to activate the air machines. Yeah, cue random footage of me putting air in my tires from another day. So we actually got some air into it, and it actually held air for a little while. And so we were able to get up and running. And once we got up and running, we made a stop over at a Target because I actually wanted to meet somebody from Facebook Marketplace. He sold me something that I'm going to make a video about another day. Yeah, so then when we got to the Target parking lot, the tire it had some air, but it was getting low. So there's probably like some kind of slow leak that was happening. I think where I really messed up today was not examining the tires closely enough, asking them to examine the tires, see if it held air, like check the PSI, before I rode off with the new tires. So these tires are 18 inches, which is 18-inch rims. They're kind of big, so it's a lot more rim and a lot less tire than what I previously had set up. What I had set up before were 17s with 55 millimeter walls, I believe. These are 18 inches with, I think the fronts only have 40 millimeters of tire. Rears have, I think it's like 35 millimeters. Yeah, a lot less like tire between the rim and the floor. And so we started making it off, and then we were like, okay, there's definitely like a slow leak. We tried to find where the leak was coming from, but it was unclear. It might have been coming from the stem valve or something like that. I even tried to like spray water to see if it would come out anywhere. But then past a certain point, we were like, we probably stopped at gas stations twice, and then the second time we were like, all right, let's just get enough air in the tire and then try to make a run for it back to New York City. We were only about a little over an hour away from the city, so we were off, and it felt good at first, but then when we hit a little bit of traffic, I could see that I could feel it in my steering wheel that I had a flat tire. At that point, I was just like straight up driving on the flat tire, and if it was up to me, I probably would have wanted to stop at every gas station I could, maybe every 10-15 miles, fill it up with air. But what ended up happening was, I had a bunch of passengers, some of them more anxious than others, and there was just this general vibe of, I got to get these people home. Because honestly, if this just happened to me, I could deal with it. It's not a big deal. Like, people get flat tires all the time. But this time, we just happened to be on a little road trip. There's definitely a tension in the car. I made it a goal to try to get everyone home as soon as I could so that I can basically deal with this problem on my own. The last person I dropped off was Evan, and we were at his house. And by the time I looked at the wheel, it was damn near rim against the floor. The tire was blown out. It ripped. Everything was just gone. Like, the whole sidewall was just gone. I parked at a fire hydrant. It was like midnight at this point. And then I went into his house and I was like, let me have a minute. Let me have this bubble in time where I'm not thinking about this, and I'll come back to it. A half an hour passes. He makes me a smoothie. We watch some music videos. I decide to try to make a run for it back to my parents' house, which is probably about 4 or 5 miles away. I started driving and it was rough. But at that point, the rim wasn't making contact with the floor yet. Between my house and Evan's house, Roosevelt Avenue, which is where the 7 train runs, and it was right along there that my tire completely gave out. The tire actually fell off completely, and I saw it in my rearview mirror. And at that point, I was pretty much driving on the rim, middle to street. And at that point, I was desperate. I went in my trunk and I just looked for everything I could. I saw I had some duct tape. I tried to duct tape the tire back on. I swear that worked for like a whole block. And then I was back on the rim. And then I saw I had some zip ties. I tried to zip tie the rubber part of the tire that was left over to the rim. That didn't last at all. I was like, zip ties are strong. Nah, it didn't work. So in the end, I was a block away from a gas station. And so I pulled into the gas station, fucking rim dragging. That's what that clip is. That's that white line that you see in this clip. I went to the gas attendant and I was like, hey, I showed him, I took this picture that I'm showing here right now. And I was like, hey, dude, my wheel blew out. Can I leave the car here for the evening? And he was like, yeah, you're going to fix it here tomorrow morning? Just leave your name and a phone number and your keys. You have to leave the key in case we have to move it. That was where my car ended up for that night. The next morning, I came back with my dad. He helped me bring a spare tire over, and we got the spare tire on it. I think it was like $20 to change it. And one of the annoying things about it is the lugs are actually sitting pretty deep inside that hole, right? And that hole is really narrow. You wonder, like, why didn't I just change the tire when I saw it was flat? And it was because the tool I had in my trunk didn't actually fit into that narrow cylinder that the lug nut was sitting inside of. The rim is actually not in such bad shape. All the damage is kind of like on the inside, but it wasn't that bad because I only drove it for like a block. It's obviously not like perfect. I'll probably do it in another video, but I'm going to probably sand down the part that got grinded. Once I get a new tire on it, the part that actually shows, the chrome part, it's actually kind of fresh. I mean, it's not perfect, but you're probably not going to even notice it. Because the way I look at it, someday I might just have enough money to buy whatever I want. But right now is this moment in time where I just love my cheap BMW and I want to do the best I can for it. I got a sweet deal on these rims. So that's the story of that night. Alright, that's the video. Please remember to like, share, subscribe, and leave a comment.